Senator Barack Obama scored a landslide victory over Senator Hillary Clinton in the North Carolina primary last night. He lost narrowly to her in Indiana. The results moved Obama closer to clinching the Democratic nomination as the contest enters its final month. Obama won North Carolina by 56% to 42%, or about 230,000 votes. Clinton won Indiana by 51% to 49%, or just over 22,000 votes. The results mean Obama will add both to his pledged delegate margin and his lead in the popular vote over Clinton. In his victory speech before 3,000 supporters in Raleigh, Obama highlighted the importance of the win.
You know, there are those who were saying that North Carolina would be a game changer in this election. But today, what North Carolina decided is that the only game that needs changing is the one in Washington, D.C. I want to start by congratulating Senator Clinton on what appears to be her victory in the great state of Indiana. I want to thank all the people, I want to thank all the wonderful people of Indiana who worked so hard on our behalf. The people in Indiana could not be finer. They worked tirelessly, and I will always be grateful to them. I want to thank, of course, the people of North Carolina. I want to thank them for giving us a victory in a big state. In a swing state. In a state where we will compete to win if I am the Democratic nominee for President of the United States. This fall, we intend to march forward as one Democratic Party, united by a common vision for this country, because we all agree that at this defining moment in our history, a moment when we are facing two wars, an economy in turmoil, a planet in peril, a dream that feels like it's slipping away for too many Americans. We can't afford to give John McCain the chance to serve out George Bush's third term. We need change in America, and that's why we will be united in November.
More than an hour after Senator Obama spoke, Senator Clinton spoke to supporters in Indianapolis before any final call on the Indiana results had been made. Clinton wasn't declared the winner until after 1 a.m. Eastern Time, more than 7 hours after most polls closed. In her speech, she vowed to stay in the race.
Not too long ago, my opponent made a prediction. He said I would probably win Pennsylvania. He would win North Carolina, and Indiana would be the tiebreaker. Well, tonight, we've come from behind, we've broken the tie, and thanks to you, it's full speed onto the White House. I'm going to work my heart out in West Virginia and Kentucky this month, and I intend to win them in November in the general election. You know, I want the people in these upcoming states to know we're going to work hard to reach out to all of you, because we want you to know that the Democratic Party is your party, and a Democratic president will be good for you. So please, come join us in our campaign. And I am running to be the president of all of America, north, south, east, and west, and everywhere in between. That's why it is so important that we count the votes of Florida and Michigan. strange to have a nominee chosen by 48 states. We've got a long road ahead, but we're going to keep fighting on that path for America, because America is worth fighting for.
The primaries in North Carolina and Indiana were the third biggest day of the long nomination battle in terms of delegates, with 187 at stake. It was also the last big day of the calendar. An additional 217 pledged delegates remain to be chosen in the final 6 contests between now and June 3rd in West Virginia, Kentucky, Oregon, Puerto Rico, Montana, and South Dakota. All eyes now turn to the remaining 270 or so undeclared superdelegates, which either candidate would need to lock up the nomination. Legendary journalist Bill Moyers joins us now for the hour in our Firehouse studio, the host of the weekly PBS program Bill Moyers Journal. He was one of the founding organizers of the Peace Corps. He was a spokesperson for President Lyndon Johnson, his press secretary, a publisher of Newsday, senior correspondent for CBS News, and a producer of many groundbreaking series on public television. He won more than 30 Emmy Awards. He's the author of 4 best-selling books. His latest, just published, is called Moyers on Democracy. We welcome you to Democracy Now!
Thank you very much. I almost called the book Moyers on Democracy Now!
Well, what do you think about what happened last night, this morning, the latest in the contests?
I think that Barack Obama is like the long-distance runner who stumbles in the 7th and 8th laps, but regains his stride. That's what I saw last night. That was a strong and moving speech he made in North Carolina, quite unlike his recent appearances on the Sunday morning talk shows. So I think he has regained the momentum. He showed he has real strength in his core constituency, African Americans, young people, and liberals. And it seems impossible now to me for Hillary Clinton to even stay in the race without doing such damage to Obama that he's hurt in the fall and she is hurt in her reputation.
What about Hillary Clinton now staying in the race?
I admire Hillary Clinton. I know I've seen over the years how hard it is for a woman, a married woman, to gain her independence in our society, whatever her profession. And I admire the way she's tried to negotiate her own persona, her own position, her own place in our politics. But if she stays in this race, it can only be at the expense, as I said, of her reputation and of Obama, because she can only move forward by attacking him, by continuing to say he can't win in November, which is not true. I don't have a horse in this race. I enjoy watching it, and I actually have admiration for all 3 of these candidates within the political system. But she just cannot win except, remember Marlene Dietrich in that great movie where Marlene Dietrich, the actress, says, "See what the boys in the back room will have and tell them I'll have the same." She can only win in the metaphorical back room, in the superdelegates. And the key date is not these upcoming primaries. She'll do all right in West Virginia. She'll do all right in San Juan, in Puerto Rico. He will do well in Montana, South Dakota, and probably in basically white but liberal Oregon. But on May 31st, the Democratic Rules Committee meets to assess how to deal with the Michigan and Florida delegates. 13 of the members of that 30-person committee are Clinton supporters. 8 are Obama supporters. The others are undecided. If she were to muscle her way to a decisive moment in that Rules Committee where they decide to change the rules here in the last inning, she'll really be hurt. But that's the only way, barring lightning striking him. And that's what she keeps hoping for every day, is that lightning will strike him and she'll have some October surprise in May will happen. That's not going to happen. She can only win in a way that would leave the Democratic Party in shambles.
Last night, as I watched the returns come in, the very, very end, Gary, Indiana, it was puzzling why, as in other places, you say 1% of the vote in, 20% of the vote in, 50%, and they give you the counts. They wouldn't release the counts until, what, 7 hours, early closing of the polls in Indiana at 6 p.m. And yet it was 1 o'clock before, I think it was just a few hours before, or 1 hour before, they even said something like 25% of the votes in. This really historic city, Gary, Indiana, named for the chair of U.S. Steel, Elbert Gary. In 1972, had this groundbreaking national black political convention in which thousands of African Americans gathered from around the country to establish an agenda. But Gary, really key here to closing the gap between Clinton and Obama.
I don't understand why they held the votes and then delivered them in a bundle. Back when I started in politics 50 years ago, Daley in Chicago and Parr in Duval County, Texas, they held the